Imagine a country large enough for several European countries to fit in quite comfortably. The United States of America is such a country, and that is how we live. Many people from different countries all fitting together, interwoven and side by side. Many children have similar lifestyles, but only the unusual is typical in this country. This profile is a very small part of what and who we are.
My name is Ann Roby, and I live in this house with my mother in Lake St. Louis, Missouri. I'm the daughter of Ron and Linda Roby. I have two older brothers, Seth, who's away at a university, and Lee, who lives down the street with my father in this house. My parents have been divorced for the last year. That took some time getting used to, but it doesn't bother me as much anymore.
It's musical practice today.
We live in the Midwest part of the country, which is also called the Heartland. It is in the center of the United States. Because of my dad's work, we have moved 3 times since I was born. First, we lived in the state of Iowa, which is big farm country, directly north of Missouri. The land is beautiful and farms spread out forever. Iowa is where grain, wheat, corn, soybeans, and vegetables are grown for export to the rest of the world. Then we moved to Pennsylvania for a few years, on the eastern coast. The area where we lived was very hilly and wooded. Pennsylvania is mostly industrial. Coal is mined here. It's one of the area's largest natural resources. Iron ore and other metals are also mined here and manufactured into steel and iron for use in bridges, skyscrapers, and roads. We lived outside the city of Philadelphia. Philadelphia is one of our country's largest cities. Then a few years ago, we moved to Missouri. Although it's Midwest, like Iowa, there are many differences. Where we live now is considered rural. We live outside the city of St. Louis. The closer you get to the city, the larger the population and commercial and industrial development. St. Louis is centrally located. It is bordered by 2 of the country's largest rivers, the Missouri and the Mississippi. It is a major transportation center for the country. My brother Lee and I go to the same school. Every morning, our parking lot fills quickly. Very few kids walk. They either take the bus or drive their own cars. My mom drives me to school on her way to work.
All right, well, do you want to call me so I know where to pick up the share?
I'll call you later. Lee is 1 grade level ahead of me, but I see him a lot at school.
For the library and also the other on the internet, but I need to help you with the internet.
Or in a positive manner to the old man.
Classes go from 7:30 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon. After class is let out, many students go right to activities that are sponsored by the schools and take place on school grounds. These activities can be sports, theater, community service, or study centers. Some people are surprised when they find out Lee and I are brother and sister. The students come from a diverse background of cultural and ethnic heritage. The school also has handicap accesses to make getting around a lot easier for students with special needs. I was not very excited about going to a new school at first. At my old school, I knew just about everybody. Here, there are so many kids. Back then, I always thought of myself as more of a leader than a follower. But one of the first things I did when we moved here was look around and see how all the other kids were dressed and bought clothes that would help me fit in.
I'm Lee. I was adopted by my parents when I was 2 years old and brought to Iowa to be a part of the Roby family. I came from Korea with a group of 6 other kids. I was so tired and frightened when my parents came to get me at the airport that I slept all the way home standing up in the car. I guess at that time I didn't know how comfortable I should get with these people. I live in this house with my dad and his new wife, Marcy.
Hello.
When I found out we were moving to Missouri, I was upset and did not want to move. I had a good life going in Pennsylvania. But because of school and the friends I've met, I've changed my feelings about living here. I found living in the Midwest has a lot to offer. It's a good place to grow up. There are a lot of different activities outside of school that I like to do. One of them is golf. My dad and I play a lot.
Good swing on it.
He takes his golf game pretty serious. I'm still learning. I just find it a good way to wind down and have fun.
Come, baby.
Excellent, dear. That was super. Much better. That sounded like the
Both of my parents work. Mom is a reading teacher for grades 3, 4, and 5.
He stopped to take a breath and then
If you drop it on
And my
cement,
dad is a
you
training
have to get out
consultant.
against and pick by
They
down.
both commute back and forth to work each day by car. One of them is always there to take us where we need to be.
I remember going to watch my brother Seth play and how much I looked up to him. I like it when my family watches me compete. Growing up, I always admired athletes and especially liked watching football. Being on a team, there's a special camaraderie that I have with other players. These guys become my friends, both on and off the field. But what I really get out of sports is the knowledge that I'm challenging myself, both mentally and physically, each time I take the field. I thrive on competition, but mostly I just really have fun, whatever sport I play.
Get a little bit more cuts, okay?
I really enjoy dancing, singing, and acting. There is so much fun in preparing and then performing to an audience.
There you go. Stop it. 1, 2, ready, go.
I found theater to be a good way to meet a lot of different kids.
have free time, I go to the movies with friends, bowl, play sports, or just sit around and talk. Sometimes in the afternoon, I go to the mall to buy clothes and hang around. There are about 100 different stores connected under one roof. The mall is a good place to meet up with friends. It also has an arcade, a movie theater, and a great food court.
During my free time, I like to talk on the phone, and it drives my mom crazy. Everybody talks on the phone everywhere, whether you're in a car or in a bedroom. On weekends, I go out with my friends to football games or parties, or we just hang out at someone's house.
Today my friend Bradley is picking me up, and we're going to his horse farm. I like to visit because there's so much to do. They have show horses on their farm. Bradley takes care of them, and it's hard work, but fun to help. The farm is surrounded by woods. You find a lot of hardwood trees in this part of the Midwest. It's peaceful out here. The only sounds you hear are the birds and crickets. Missouri has a lot of natural springs that feed into larger streams, then into rivers. There's a small pond that we can fish in and camp by during warm weather. Bradley's family really takes good care of their farm. It makes a big difference in how we appreciate the land. That's my pager. It's my dad. He's just reminding me it's time to get home.
Lee and I have different responsibilities around the house, including cooking, laundry, dusting, doing the dishes, and sometimes mowing the lawn. Once a week we have trash pickup, and I try to make sure it's out there on time. We also recycle. This means separating all of our glass, plastic, paper, and aluminum and putting it out for pickup.
When I go grocery shopping with my dad, he has me pick up the stuff that I want to eat. In a store this size, you can get just about anything you want. They have a butcher shop, bakery, salad bar, and a deli. The store happens to have a video club, pharmacy, and a small bank.
When I finish high school, I plan to go to university and continue my singing, dancing, and acting. There is so much available career-wise, but for right now, the school play opens in a few days, and I've got to practice.
I think about my goals, my achievements, and my opportunities. And then sometimes I think what it would be like if I hadn't been adopted. The way I'd talk, the clothes I'd wear, and the house I'd live in. When people ask me what my nationality is, I just say, I'm an American.